What's going on, everybody? It's Fade Dating Coach Elliott Scott, and as you can see by the title below, we're going to talk about if you're dating a narcissist. What does it look like? How to tell? What to do? All the above, okay? So jumping right into this, I first want to tell you guys what is not a narcissist, okay? A lot of people come to me and they say they're dating someone who's a narcissist or he's narcissistic, okay? And I'm listening and I'm like, no, that doesn't sound like a narcissist. That sounds just like a guy who's not interested in you or who doesn't care. And there is a difference. Not saying narcissists can't be that, but a lot of the times I'm listening and I'm like, I don't know about that. So what are these things? If a guy's not initiating and he's wanting you to always initiate, that does not mean he's a narcissist. If this guy is only wanting to have sex with you, leaves you on red, doesn't plan dates and all these type of things, that's not a narcissist. If it's a guy who says, I don't give a shit, leave, whatever, and he's always trying to argue with you and he's very, very selfish, not a narcissist. That does not always mean a narcissist. A narcissist is when it's somebody, now there's a lot of definitions and things I can say, but to really sum it up, I think in my opinion, the easiest way to tell is a man who thinks he deserves all these things, who thinks he's entitled to all this and demands it. So when a guy says, I'm not going to date you or I'm not going to do this unless I get a threesome, that's a narcissist. A guy who says, well, you need to be doing these things for me. Why do I got to be doing these for you? Do them for me, do them for me, do them for me. Again, not one of these things alone makes it narcissist, or makes them a narcissist, but it's the vibe, it's the overall vibe, the feel you get from it. And a lot of the times it's when men are demanding things in a way where they feel entitled to it, even at the expense of you. So the funny thing about well, it's not funny actually, take that back. But the ironic thing about all this is women want to avoid these type of guys, but they keep on attracting them, right? Leave a comment below if you think that's you in this situation. I actually want to know your situation. Actually, everyone, leave a comment below if you're talking to a narcissist. I want to read what you guys say on why you think he is, just to get a kind of a vibe and feel of the audience, okay? So why do you guys keep on attracting these same type of guys? You want to avoid them, but what's going on here? You want to avoid them, but the guy next to you is a narcissist. A lot of the times, what women don't realize is I had a client like this yesterday. She had a really bad case of self-fulfilling prophecy. She was overly jealous. Now, this isn't what the video is about, but she was overly jealous to the point where she needed validation to feel good and to secure the relationship. She'd always say, I want to secure the future of the relationship. So I need this validation. I need this security to figure out blah, 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 the next step. And I told her, well, I'll never tell a woman to bite her tongue. I'll never tell a woman not to say this or not to say that. But I don't think you should say that. And I was telling her it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to make boundaries, but it's when you keep on going and going and going with it. So I'll give you an example with her. So I'm not going to get in too much example because I don't want to expose her situation. So she was talking, so she has a boyfriend. Her boyfriend went to this class and he, met another girl in the class that he has another class with on something. And that girl, let's just say, was crossing the line, the boundaries, made my client feel very uncomfortable. And my client went to him and said, hey, I don't like that. I don't want you to do it. Like, what? And he says, hey, you know what? You're right. You never have to worry about it again. Don't worry about it. I'll have a talk with her, right? That, to me, that's enough. If a guy gives a woman his word, now, you have to trust his word, of course, but if a guy gives a woman his word and says, you'll never have to worry about that again, I'll talk to her, right? That's it. However, she wanted more validation. She wanted to say, later on, well, did you talk to her? You don't need to do that shit. You don't need to do that shit. But a narcissist, what I'm trying to get at is, a narcissist goes after these type of women. Not saying this guy's a narcissist, just given a situation. If you're someone who wants constant validation, has a void to fill, right? You're constantly seeking validation. It's this insecurity. A narcissist is very good, ladies, very good at pinpointing on your weakness and making it look like it's your strength. Ooh, that's good. That's true though, right? He'll look at your weakness, your weak points, or your insecurities and say, "No, your nose ain't big. I love your nose. No, your eye doesn't have pus coming out of it. You're just delusional." Like whatever it is. He'll make you feel good. He'll reel you in. And the problem these type of women have is they don't know when to let go. And there's several reasons why, and I just kind of named them. I always say there's 4 reasons why people have a harder time getting over heartbreak or moving on, or they're dealing with these type of things. And it's, you're trying to fill a void. You have a fear of being alone. You have a lack of options or extreme insecurity, right? And maybe these women subconsciously, you might be hot, but subconsciously or on the inside, you may feel you're not adequate, you're not good enough, you're not up to par with everybody else in the dating market. So when a guy gives you this type of stuff, you feel good, but then when he takes it away, here's the beautiful thing, ladies, this is really strong psychology. I'm not saying use this against a guy, but it could work. Don't use it. What people don't understand is we are very good at comparison bias, but we're also very good at like this reflection bias, which means if you liked me at one time and you're saying there wasn't pus coming out of my eye when I thought there was, or my nose wasn't big when I thought it was, and now you're saying pus is coming out of my eye, or that my nose is big, or that you're acting, those are jokes obviously, or that you're acting different and you're pulling away, well, what changed? What changed? I must have done something wrong. What's happening here? Okay? And when a woman or man, just people in general, when they start to see that difference, they start to question it. It goes back to the client I was talking about. You start wanting clarity. You start wanting to get some type of certainty. And this is important to the narcissist because he'll see this. He'll bombard you, love bomb you, tell you all these nice and sweet things. And again, leave a comment below if this is what's happening to you. He'll leave a nice little bundle of love for you, and then all of a sudden he flips and you're wondering, well, what's happening? But it's really hard for you to move on for several reasons. 1, I can change him. He could change. 2, I'm the problem. Okay. 3, emotional. I really like him. He wasn't always like this. I really like him. Elliot, can he change? Will he change? How do I change him? Like women will come to me for that. And the problem I have with this, and it's not a problem because I understand you. I always tell my clients, I will never tell you just to drop a guy. I like to kind of give you the insight on it and, we make a decision together. But it's really hard for a guy to change in this situation for several reasons. 1, a couple. 1, he's entitled, he believes he's entitled to it. And it's very hard to change a guy who is in a very, very, very good situation. Okay. And 2, he knows he has you. Like he knows he has you. Why would he change if he knows he fucking focused in, dialed in on your weak point and you're constantly seeking this validation, and by you cutting him off, a guy who you do like, who was good in other areas, it's just this shit, right? Like why would you cut him off and not get that validation? He knows that. So these guys take advantage of it. So you're talking to a narcissist, ladies, in my opinion, when the vibe feels narcissistic. Not just a guy who's pulling away, not just a guy who leaves you on red, but a guy who's constantly feels entitled and says these entitlement phrases and comments to you. These guys who feels like he's superior and better and deserving of these things when he hasn't deserved it. And if he doesn't get it, he's going to try tactics to close the gap. So negging. Well, negging's not always bad. I mean, it could be playful, but I mean, it would be like hard negging where you take it seriously and you're like light insults is what it's supposed to be, like playful insults. But hard negging is a thing, and he might do things like that. He might hit your insecurities. He might know what you're looking for in terms of like certainty and keep it away from you. Like the opposite side of this would be like women withholding sex as like a bargaining chip. I'm not saying a woman can't withhold sex, but if you know it's the intentions behind it. If it's a moral or value or boundary thing, I understand. But if you're doing it just to get revenge on a guy, that's kind of the same way as a guy not showing you love and appreciation just to punish you. These are all narcissistic behaviors. Ladies, I'm here to tell you that you need to drop these guys ASAP. It will not change. It is not your job to change it. And again, the reason I say it will not change is because you're talking to a guy who has no reason to change. I tell women, if you want to be so good at looking at men, stop worrying about your problems and look at his or what he believes as problems. I'm not saying you're less important, of course, but it's just a fun exercise to be like, I want love, I want appreciation, I want a man who does this and that. Well, yeah, of course, we all know what you want, or you know what you want. You tell yourself all the time. You're in your head. But you need to ask, what does he want? Not in terms of like, I want to serve him, but men are constantly, like the game is played on both sides based on the strategy they use. Oh, you like that? Hey, y'all didn't know I can dance. The strategy they use to get those things. And when you're a narcissist, you're going to use certain tactics. If you're a healthy, loving individual like yourself, you don't need to do those tactics. Your other thing is communication, rapport, consistency, like stuff like that. You know, so when you're talking to people, it's really important to understand what's the reason of, like, what's the motive behind this action. Sounds cynical, but it's a very, very good exercise. If you kind of want to know how to do this, I have a guide on filtering men down below that talks about what I call doing your detective work, right? Now, all the guides I have will help you with this type of stuff, especially the how to hook a guy one. That will help you. I have one on how, does a guy see you long term? And of course, this one, filtering men, which will go into detail on the detective work, like how to figure out like his motive, why he's doing it, like what's the real reason. Because ladies, there's always a real reason why these guys do these things. And if you're talking to a narcissist, it's purely for self-fulfillment, okay? But if you're talking to a guy who feels entitled to it, who the relationship's very one-sided, and he feels like he deserves it without even working for it, yeah, we got a problem. So if you want to get those guides, or you want to get a session with me and talk about the narcissism, I love that stuff. I'm not a psychiatrist. I didn't go to school for 14, 15 years, but I know I've been doing this for 10 years though. I trust me, I know my shit. Psychologists come to me all the time. Therapists come to me all the time. So that being said, ladies, I love you all. Take care. If you're interested, links are down below, and peace.